I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're struggling with insomnia, my one piece of advice would be don't read the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walkers. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it made my sleep issues worse with creating sleep anxiety. Even though this book is very well intentioned and has a lot of really good quality information about the science of sleep, it could be helpful for some people, but I would really suggest if you have sleep issues, it can actually cause some damage because being super hyper aware of how important sleep is was the reason why it was so hard for me to get that elusive sleep back on track. The thing about insomnia is not only that it robs you from getting this elusive sleep, it also creates the fear of not sleeping. It's a cruel cycle. The more you're aware of how important sleep is, the harder it is to get that sleep. The more you worry about sleep, the less likely you are to fall asleep eventually. So one of the things that helped me overcome this multi-year sleep insomnia was to do the opposite and start believing how not so important sleep is for me. Because I'm such a logic person, it was hard to try to fool myself into thinking that it's not so important because I had known how important sleep is, like the most important thing. But I tried to play down the importance of it in my mind so that I cannot take it that seriously. And when people struggle with sleep issues, there's a lot of talk around sleep hygiene. And with sleep hygiene is a lot of rules. You can't work out before bedtime, no alcohol or caffeine after a certain hour. It has to be a quiet room and a dark room and no watching TV in the bedroom and only using the bedroom for sleeping and get out of the room if you can't sleep so you don't stay in. There's so many rules and these had not helped me at all, but what did help me is make this one rule for myself, and it's make the nights that I can't sleep as enjoyable as possible. So in a way, I would be actually excited about missing out on sleep because I would turn it into a nice experience. I would let myself do whatever I feel like. So if it's middle of the night snack that I really want to eat, and there's no rules about what I can eat in the middle of the night, draw a bath with candlelights, that was allowed and encouraged. If I wanted to go watch TV and watch the trashiest TV show, I would be allowed to do that. So things that I wouldn't even allow myself to do on the daily basis would be allowed and encouraged during these sleepless nights. Even if it means that it's gonna wake me up a little bit from this sleepiness. But what it did is the opposite. It made me not so fearful about the hours that started to trickle. It started to get later and later in the day. And when you have sleep anxiety, you check out the clock and you're terrified as time passes. So you feel great in the morning because you managed to survive another night. And when it's like 7 p.m., you start having these thoughts creep into your mind. What's gonna happen tonight? Is it gonna be a good night? Is it gonna be a bad night? Am I gonna get some sleep? Am I gonna be easier to fall asleep? Is it gonna be hard to fall asleep? Am I gonna wake up in the middle of the night? What should I do if I can't fall asleep around 1 a.m.? Should I take some sleep aid? And all these thoughts that are just constantly in your brain, this is the sleep anxiety that won't let you fix your problem. So for me, just having that rule that anything goes was kind of flipping the roles on this horrible nights that's gonna happen. And I was just getting just a little bit, tiny bit excited about the prospect of I might have a night that I'm gonna sleep okay. Or I'm gonna have a night that I'm just gonna enjoy my time and I'm gonna do whatever I wanted. And I already planned these little dates for myself. A night of going to take an hour-long bath with music that I like and just scrolling on TikTok, and kind of nice for me to think about it. So it's a win-win situation. Either I get to sleep or I get a really fun nightly date with myself. So that way really calmed my amygdala, which is the center of your fear in your brain. Remember that breaking free from insomnia is really tough and it takes time. And for me, just a few years after it's all gone, I still have this slight fear that at any point it might come back. So there's something that takes a while to get a hold of. If you're struggling with it, first of all, it's really, really tough. And I had learned so many lessons while breaking free from that horrible cycle myself. So like this video if you ever struggled with sleep issues, and make sure to follow for more lessons that I've learned from my own process of escaping the insomnia.